Cloud. Here we go. Awesome. Hello, everybody. Happy June 1st. I was just saying I cannot believe that it is June already. It crept up on me so quickly. I'm very excited about the two ladies that we have on today. I always start with this. If you can turn your camera on, we would love to see you. Please do, because it is so much greater for the guest when they speak to see you guys. Let's see. Okay, hold on. I'm just trying to spotlight. Okay, perfect. Hold on. Yeah, Abby, I'm trying to learn how to do this. Okay. Stephanie, can you see the three of us? Okay. All right, awesome. Okay. Super excited to have Kimberlee and Brittney on today. It's been a while since probably Kimberlee, I've had you. Well, you were on the podcast though. And then Brittney was with our group twice last year, which was so great. We had just amazing feedback. So I'll start, if you guys can share a little bit about your business, where you are, just for those that are maybe new. Brittney, you want to go first?
Sure. So I'm Brittney McAllister. I am in Omaha, Nebraska, and I have a small team. There are 4 women. We've got one director of operations. She kind of keeps us all in line. And then I've got 2 buyer's agents. And then I am the listing agent for the team. And last year, just for reference, I guess, last year we did 155 units, just over 40 million.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, Kimberlee.
Dang, that's a rough price point. Sorry. I'm doing the math. I'm like, oh, ours is a little bit higher than the average price point. I am Kimberlee, Meserve. I run a team just outside of Boston, Massachusetts. We cover all of the greater Boston area. I think most people in the KW world know me from my story. I moved to this area a few years into my career and totally rebuilt my business from scratch. I did not know anybody at all, and started just doing first-time home buyer workshops. So I think that's a little bit what I'm going to share today in terms of different lead gen levers. But last year, at the very beginning of the year, we partnered with Place with Ben Kinney and Chris Suarez, and we now have a team of 8 agents.
Nice. Actually, I might have you talk a little bit about that too. I kind of forgot about that. So I want you to touch on that too. And I was saying before we started the Zoom, neither of these two ladies have anything going on other than the fact that Kimberlee just got married in Paris and Brittney just had a baby girl. So I'm like, they have had lots of all the life things going on. We already have one question that's actually a really great question that was on my list. So I'm glad to see it come through. Would you guys mind sharing how many people roughly are in your database? That's been a big hot topic lately.
That's a really good question.
Literally looking right now.
I just said, I'm going to text Leah how many.
Okay.
We have just shy of 12,000.
Kimberlee, how many? 12,000?
Just shy of, yep.
Nice. How many units did you do last year, or just roughly, Kimberlee? Or volume, whichever.
Last year, we were just shy of 40 million.
Yeah.
We had it's actually been really interesting. So we had kind of our tough year last year. And I think part of that was just, we started the year myself, one other agent, and then it was like, let's grow, let's kind of add leverage. And I slowed down my production tremendously just because I was so focused on recruiting. We were going through a lot of transitions with partnering with Place. And then this year it's a grind. I'm sure all of you are experiencing a very different market. We're very fortunate to be up from where we were last year, and that's not the norm in our market. Most agents, one of the top teams, a team that's in Gary's mastermind in our area, they're doing a third of what they were doing this time last year. So for the most part, people's businesses are way down. Ours is fortunately up, but it's 3 times as much work to be there.
Yeah. Is the market slowed? Has it slowed in Boston?
So it's still really competitive. We're still seeing 20 plus offers on properties. We just have no inventory. So we had this time last year, there were about 24,000 properties sold year to date in our greater Boston area. And this year we're just over 10,000. So that gives you some perspective of how much down we are with inventory.
Okay. Brittney, what about y'all?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm so excited to know you now, Kimberlee, because I went to school in Connecticut and I love Boston. I mean, I didn't go to school in Boston, but I love it there. And I know lots of people there. So I was like, oh my gosh.
I told them, I said, you guys don't know each other, but you'll be friends after the Zoom.
I'm like, Boston is the best. I want to visit there soon anyway, okay. So
Boston, by the way, is still the only place, like one of the only places that's on my list in the United States that I've never been.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Great. Like we need to organize just everybody is invited now. If you want to in person trip.
That would be so fun. Boston's way better than New York City. I feel like everyone always wanted to go to New York City and I don't know. I liked Boston. Yeah. So Omaha's about the same. I would say it just is kind of hit and miss. Like it's just on like price points. Like we've got, our luxury market is obviously, quite a bit less expensive than some of the other markets, but those houses maybe are staying a little bit longer, although inventory still is so low that if it's priced right, it's going to sell. In our market, that under 300, like specifically under 250, like it's insane. That's where we're seeing like 20, 30, 40 offers. And so we're still in that world. So yeah, it's just still a seller's market, just kind of riding that out. Yeah. Oh, database. I looked it up. I forgot. I'm not helpless. I'm like, wait, I have a command. I haven't pulled up. I can look myself. We have 1,000, just over 1,000.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, cool. Steph, hope that is helpful. Any other questions you have on that, just let me know. Okay, awesome. So let's talk about lead generation. Oh yeah, Josh, that's right. Yes, I remember that. I didn't know you were on Josh.
People with Boston connections.
Yeah,
I have Omaha connection for Brittney.
Does anybody have an Omaha connection? Okay, let's talk about lead gen. So one of the things I've really been talking about lately, especially with the agents in our market centers, is we are getting back to, which kind of exactly what you guys are saying, but to real estate seasonality. And Gary's been talking a lot about this, where if you were selling pre the pandemic, you knew that like we waited for the spring market and then it would like die down a little bit in summer when everybody was going on vacation, when school was out, and then school would start and we would have a little lull and then it would pick back up. And then from November to Christmas, it was like, everybody's in holiday mode. And during the pandemic, in the last 3-ish years, however long it's been, it feels like 10, we've been in such a speed-based market that we truly haven't really had real estate seasonality. And so in the spirit of getting back to regular real estate seasonality, I feel like people need to be getting back into, if they ever weren't, lead gen, like getting their lead gen habits together, because we've been like taking what just comes to us instead of actually committing to do the lead gen. And I also think people hear the word lead gen and they automatically think that they have to cold call for 4 hours a day. And that's just truly not the case. That might be one of the quickest ways. There we go. Sarah has an Omaha connection for you. So I wanted you guys to talk about maybe the top 3 lead gen sources for you right now. And then specifically, Brittney, we had a lot of feedback about your FSBO stuff last time, and Kimberlee, first-time home buyers. And I'm anxious to hear what you have to say about first-time home buyers, because all the stats show that they're not buying as much because student loan debt is so high that they're moving back in with their parents. So I don't know. Let's start with that, Kimberlee. Just love your thoughts on that.
Okay, so I looked it up because you asked us to. Our 3 main lead gen sources are Sphere, seminars, and then agent referrals. So Sphere is about 35% of our business year to date, which is actually higher than what it's been in the past. And we also do a lot of things like pay-per-click leads. Like our biggest intention in the last few years has been growing the database and then just like making sure we're maximizing it and getting as much out of it. As I shared, like I didn't know anybody when I got here, so I didn't have a Sphere. And so it had to be very intentional. Like, how do I meet people? How do I get in relationship with people as quickly as possible? And for me, that naturally came through the first time homebuyer seminars. So year to date, it's only been about 25% of our business. Historically, it's usually been 30 to 35% of the business. I actually think, Dana, it's for us in our market, it's not as much from a perspective of moving back in with family. It's really like we have such a shortage of that inventory right now. So our first time home buyer price
For the
point,
price point that they're buying. Okay. Yeah.
yeah. So our first time home buyer price point is kind of like 500 to 650. And that's where we're seeing the most competition in the market right now. We also have, and I think our market might be a little bit unique in that our average rent for a 1-bedroom apartment is now the second highest in the entire country.
Wow.
I think it's around, last I looked, I think it's around like $3,600 a month. So
Wow.
if you're paying to rent, it's so expensive here, which I think helps a lot with, like, I know a lot of agents are facing that objection in markets where it's cheaper on a monthly basis to rent, right? But when you start adding up $3,600 a month over a year, over 2 years, 3 years, like, you're losing out on so much net worth ability.
Yeah.
And
Well,
go ahead.
I'm sorry, just one second. Will you guys type in the chat if rent rates are high where you live right now? Like if you would say that they're higher than normal and or it's more expensive to rent than it is to own. I'm just curious for you, whoever knows, or what your all's feedback is from those of you around the country, because I would say most of it's higher to rent, Kimberlee, just like where it is with you.
Yeah, I think so. The funny thing is, like, even at $3,600 a month, it might not be higher to rent. Because if you have a low down payment on like a $600,000 house, it's still pretty expensive, right, for your monthly payment. But I think it's like, when you're talking about the difference of spending $1,200 a month on rent versus $1,700 to buy, like, that might be a little bit different than $3,600 versus $4,000. Once you get up in those higher numbers, it's just like so much money being thrown away. So one of the things we do during our first time homebuyer seminars is we walk them through, what does that equity buildup look like over 5 years? So we're a really strong appreciation market. And it's been really interesting to see with interest rates over the last year, because while we have less people in the market to buy than we did this time last year, we still have way less inventory. So demand is still really strong with high rates, and we're still seeing strong appreciation as a result of that. So we show them, like, okay, if you're spending $4,000 a month or $4,500 a month on rent, here's what it looks like over 5 years. Here's what it looks like to buy a property, and what that looks like for your mortgage pay down, for the appreciation that you're capturing, and what will it do to your net worth. So sometimes you just have to get people out of this emotion and put them into the logic of it all. Like, you might make some short-term sacrifices, buy a starter condo that maybe is not your dream property, but at least you're capturing that wave of appreciation, because we've always been a high appreciation market. Even 2008, 2009, we didn't see the same impact as a lot of other areas of the country. What does it look like to buy, live in that property a few years, and then sell and move up to the next home?
Yeah, that reminds me of what Gary said, like, the fool is the person who didn't buy real estate when the rates were 3s and 4s. Which can be difficult to think about if it was someone who didn't. So yeah, that all makes total sense. Kimberlee, will you say, or if you know what I know you said your third lead gen source was the realtor to realtor referrals, which I also have been talking a lot about lately. Do you know what percentage that was?
It's 15% of our business.
Okay, awesome. Okay.
And that's actually a little bit lower. So it's so true. Whatever you focus on expands.
Yeah.
I took a step back from those relationships because I started to treat my business like a serious business and look at P&L every single month. And I saw what that was doing to my cost of sale, being so reliant on those agent referrals. And don't get me wrong, like, we love referrals. We service them at a high level. We've been doing a lot more to intentionally send referrals out to balance that out. But it hasn't been as much of a focus as it has been in the past for us.
Yeah. But to be in your top 3 is still really good. I mean, Gary told us 2 years ago, it was the biggest opportunity that agents miss is actually marketing themselves to other realtors. Okay, before we go into the seminars, Brittney, can you share your top 3 and talk a little bit about this?
Yeah. So before I forget, I wrote it down, but I think that seasonality is obviously something you said we haven't had. I think what we're missing from that, at least what I was in our business, is this having that seasonality gone, and we were going. We forgot about all of our systems, and we weren't like fine tuning our systems during the time that we normally would. Cause usually when there's that downtime, like it gives us a second to breathe and like, okay, what are we spending money on that's not even working? Or what are we, what system or lack thereof, do we have? Like, what does that look like? And I feel like that seasonality helped us like really pay attention during those moments. And since we didn't have it, I think a lot of us, kind of got out of whack when it comes to what we're doing and what our systems look like and processes. And that's what we really like thrive on. Like we love all of our systems and processes, that kind of stuff. So, the last
your 152 touch or whatever that you shared last time, I'm pretty sure I've emailed that to like over 1,000 people. Heather like has it memorized. We've sent it to so many people have asked for that.
That is awesome. I'll put I'm gonna put it in here just so I don't, because someone's gonna say, what is that?
Okay,
If you go on our Instagram or my Instagram, which I don't recommend having so many Instagrams, just have one. If I could go back, I would just
Meg, can I get a copy?
So go to Realtor Brittney, and there is a link, the link in my bio, and there you can get, there's like the FSBO guide. So what we'll talk about for sale by owners in a little bit, that's there. The 200 and or whatever the touch, or we have now, touch is in there. Pretty much anything that we do, that's just yours to have. So go there, have it. Our business in the last 3 years, just like everyone, I'm sure it was just kind of odd, right? So the last 3 years, there's just so many moving pieces. Obviously there was a pandemic, then there was, I took on a builder. So I started repping new construction. So that kind of moved things around. I hired, started my team within the last 3 years. So there just has been a lot of moving pieces. So I feel like our top 3 lead gen sources right now are, Sphere is number 1. That's about 40% of our business. Agent referrals, that's been a huge piece that we added just in the last few years, like just before we got on here talking about just leaning into those things more too. I don't have that percentage in front of me, but in the last 3 years, it's been, I bet it's over 25%. We've gotten so many, and we have a military base here in Omaha or in Bellevue. So got a lot of military referrals, like all that kind of stuff. And then for sale by owner, we'll get into that later, but I took 21 for sale by owner listings in the last 3 years.
Nice.
So it's not huge, but I mean, if you could use 7 extra listings a year, it's 7 extra listings a year.
Well, you took 21 FSBOs in a time where most people weren't even calling FSBOs because FSBOs were just selling themselves as soon as they went on the market. I mean, I think that's huge.
Right. And that's really our only, I mean, like my personal, I feel like a lot of our lead gen, like I feel like I've made lead gen out to be this monster in my head. So I'm like, lead gen is like things like FSBOs, but calling my clients and all that stuff doesn't feel like lead gen. So it is. And that's one of them. I feel like when I think of like cold calling or just like old school kind of, that route, I think FSBOs is the one that first comes to my head. That's what I like to do. And then open houses. We love open houses.
Yeah.
With new construction, it's been kind of nice because we can do those pretty regularly.
Yep. Love it. Okay. Awesome. Perfect. So Kimberlee, talk to us about the seminars and how you lead gen for those. Then we'll go over to the FSBOs. And Karen, yes, you're going to get a script. I think Brittney has a great text script. Do you have that to show? Okay. I was gonna say I have it. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Go for it.
Okay. So the seminars were really, started because I moved to Boston and I was dating people, meeting people at the time. And everybody I was just talking to about real estate. I didn't know anybody when I moved here. I totally believe that our value prop as agents is to be just providing value through education in the next few years, because information is so readily available. People can get, like, we're not the gatekeepers to properties anymore. And really the best thing we can do is educate the public. So like I would talk to everybody like, oh, do you own, do you rent? And at the time, so keep in mind, this is 2017 into 2018, I would meet people that were spending $2,600 a month on rent, which our rent obviously has gone way up since then. And they were telling me that they couldn't buy and they couldn't afford to buy. And I was like, what do you mean you can't afford to buy? Well, I found out it wasn't that they couldn't afford to buy, as they had no idea. They didn't know you could put 3% down. They didn't know really what it took to buy a house. So I saw a big need in our market, especially since we have a much higher average price point, to just educate people. So I met this really awesome lender. He's still our very close partner these days. And he was new to the business and he was like, let's do it. Let's do seminars together. Like anything I pitched to him, he was hungry, new in the business, just game to try anything. So we started doing the seminars, and it's been 5 years consistently of doing them. We had one last night and we were thinking about it. It's like, man, we've done over 200 seminars.
Wow.
I think. Yeah, we've done a lot. We started doing them once a month. We were doing them in person at a local brewery. We don't really do them in person anymore because it just doesn't make sense economically for us. It's too expensive to get venue space. So we've done them over Zoom. Like I said, I started to really treat my business like a business the last few years and make decisions based on like lead cost. And so it doesn't make as much sense for us to have them in person. Obviously, the pandemic gave us the gift of forcing us to go virtual with the events. And the thing I'll say is it's really not about the event. I have people reach out to me all the time and they're like, hey, I did one. Like, I know sometimes you have 20 people at your events or you have 30 people. I only had 3 or 4. Like, it's not about the event. It's about just an excuse to get in front of people and to connect with them and provide value to them. Like, some of our highest converting events were also our lowest attended ones. Like, I don't know about you all, but I would rather get in front of 3 or 4 people that all convert into clients than 30 people where I don't convert anybody. So there was a noticeable mindset shift. And I think it started once I started to build a team where it became about all the activities around the event and not just the actual event. Like, it's just an excuse to call, text, talk to people about real estate and demonstrate your value to them.
Yeah. You know, one thing that just popped in my head that is so ironic. I mean, it's not ironic, but it's really cool. Whenever I hear agents say I moved here and I don't know anybody, or I'm not from here, I don't have a database, I always say, you need to go listen to the story of my friend Kimberlee and my friend Ken Pozek, because both of them have crushed it and they both moved to places and didn't know one person. And you just said, Kimberlee, that you have now consistently done over 200 seminars. Ken just shared with me that he has consistently done over 525 professional videos. The aha, which is how he's built his business in Orlando, the aha to me is that you just have to pick something and be consistent with it. Like, the fact that you all have both done that is just the proof in the pudding that, like, whatever you're going to do, it doesn't mean that there's one specific thing that's going to work. It's just whatever you're going to do, just be consistent at it. Like, are you committed enough to do 200 of them? Are you committed enough to do 525 of them? And go do it.
Yeah, I was actually listening to you and Linda this morning when I was driving to the office, where you're talking about Ken. And the thing that I appreciate about him, and one of my takeaways was like, just figure out something you love and fall in love with the process of it. Like, I think it can sometimes feel daunting to hear a story like Ken's or a story like mine, where you're like, oh my gosh, she's in 200 of these, or Ken's done 500 videos. Like, they're so far ahead. And it's not about getting to a certain destination. It's about falling in love with the process of creating something and continuing to iterate over time, because what we do today is so different than what we did in the beginning. But I just committed myself to, like, hey, I want to get really good at this. I want to be the best at it. If you ask anybody, and this isn't to brag, but if you ask anybody in KW, like, I want to do a first time homebuyer seminar, inevitably my name comes up. And it's not because we're doing anything super outstanding. It's just because I've been so consistent with this thing and I've evolved the process over time.
Well, I agree with all that. And I think I would say too, like, just start. I mean, you just started, like you started at one point, and yeah, you fell in love with it along the way, but so many people get stuck in the, like, getting ready to get ready. You just have to start and commit to do it,
Exactly.
Okay. So, before we go to, I'll kind of try to switch back and forth, but before we go, I want to say, how are you touching them to get them to the seminar?
So we mainly generate the leads through Facebook ads, and it sends them to an Eventbrite page. I think our ad person has now put that like where they're going directly into our database. I don't really know what she does. I used to do all of it my own, but I have someone who's much more talented at it than I am doing it now. We do still track like the amount of leads that we're receiving because we have a target with everything. We have a target of how many we want to sign up for each event, how many are going to attend each event, how many we're going to convert into clients. And we've kind of backed into a goal for the year based on that. So when they come into our database, they get put automatically onto a plan that has the agents on the team calling them, reminding them about the event, sending them texts, sending them emails. Like there's probably 20 touches before they even attend the event. But it's not about them showing up so much. It's like, if we can get them to a buyer consultation beforehand, great. We're not going to wait for an event just to move them along the process. If they don't show up, that's fine too. We're going to reach out, let them know that we missed them. Do you want info for another event? We have another one coming up, or like, let's do a one-on-one. It's just any excuse to have a conversation with them and move them through the funnel.
Yep. Okay. And then did you miss, if you said this already, I missed it. Did you say how many are you doing? Or like, do you do a certain number a month?
Yeah, we do 2 a month.
2 a month. Okay. That's what I thought. Yeah. 2 a month. Okay. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So a couple of things I want to come back to on that, and switching gears, Brittney, and I actually do want to talk to you guys about realtor referrals just for a minute, if we have time at the end. So Brittney, okay. Talk about, FSBO. And how you lead gen for FSBOs, because I do think now we're getting back to a time where if you haven't been looking at FSBOs, it's a huge opportunity.
Yeah. Liv just joined. Liv's on our team. She's my keeper of all things.
Oh, hi, Liv.
She was like, I didn't know. She was like, I just joined and I heard Kimberlee. I didn't know what she was talking about. I texted her. I was like, the girl on here does home buyer. I'm like texting and taking notes. And always be a student. You never master anything. Right. Yeah. Okay. So there was a couple of things you said that I like about like with your home buyer events. So the majority of our business comes from our sphere, and that we do a ton of events, or 4 or 5 a year. And our whole thing, we always say like, I don't care if no one comes. Will I be sad? Yeah, I'll be actually really sad if no one comes. And that's not the point of the events. The point of the events is, to be in contact, constantly be inviting people. And they love it. Like Liv had this idea. Well, we're doing a movie event. So that's one that we're doing, The Little Mermaid. And Liv just popped by yesterday. These cute little, it was a bag of popcorn. She made cute little things. We're so excited to see you, to all the people who RSVP'd to the movie. And they've all like sent me sent me pictures of their kids holding the popcorn. They put it on social media. Like that's how you go generate more business. That's kind of, a bit more passive, and like, we're still getting in contact with our people. That's how we pass clients referral. Now on the FSBO side, I had kind of two, it goes along the lines of like, what are you committed to doing? So when we figure out like what our lead gen strategy is going to look like for the year, we start with obviously what's your goal, either how much money you want to make, how many houses you want to sell, whatever that looks like. The first question that I ask, and this is kind of a good, just to help your brain work through what you want to do for lead gen. The first question is, what are you willing to do? Yeah. And don't think, just write down all the stuff you would be willing. If you're not willing to knock on doors, don't write door knocking. If you're not willing to do whatever, don't write that down. Just write, what would you be willing to do? And then go back to the top of the list. Okay, now from that list, what are you committed to doing? And I think the word committed is just, it's a lot more aggressive than like, I might hold an open house. Well, are you committed to doing an open house? Because if you're committed, you're going to show up and you're going to try a lot harder. Are you committed to hosting home buyer events? Are you going to commit to doing 2 a month? Like those are big, that's how you're going to reach your goal. So, and then of course, does your commitment align with your goal? Yes or no? If it's no, you got to figure out, you're gonna have to work a bit harder. And so for sale by owners, sadly, I kind of let it slip the last couple of years. It just wasn't top of mind for me. And I was still doing it for me, because it was a habit. So I started the for sale by owner life probably back in, it was probably 2016. I have notes. So it's just real estate's such a small world. I used to coach with Debbie DeGroat, and she was my coach, and I I have all my notes from her still. I actually the other day went back and looked at my notes, and I'm like, okay, what can I do different? Or how can I change this process? And I'm going through my notes with Debbie. Meanwhile, my team's on a Zoom with her, with forward coaching with her. I'm like, I'm like, what a small world. Like, this is just crazy. So, one thing, the process that came out of that was I text, not call. I just text them. I call them eventually. I start with a text to every single for sale by owner in my area on Monday morning, Monday or Wednesday. The screenshot I just sent to you, Dana, says, that was a for sale by owner from Wednesday. So that just goes back to like, what did I committed to doing it. Did it happen on Monday? No, it didn't happen on Monday. I have a child now in the NICU and it's chaos, and I'm still lead generating. So there's no excuse for anyone.
No excuse. Yeah.
And so the text, and Dana can send it out to you guys. And I'll just read you what the text says. There's lots of emojis because I'm a very emoji like human. It just says, hey there, happy Wednesday. I hope you're having a great morning so far. I saw you listed your property for sale by owner within the last week or so. I say week or so in case I missed either, like, because sometimes again, all of this is like evolved. One time I texted and the guy's like, I just listed it 4 weeks ago. You didn't even talk, I'm like, okay, sorry. So last week or so, congrats. I wanted to see if it was still available. I'm sure you've been bombarded with realtors, so I'll keep it short. I specialize in helping FSBO sell their homes. Yay for you. I'd love to send you an email with my commission information for you to look at on your own terms and a free for sale by owner guide to help you navigate the process during this rapidly changing market. If you're at all interested, just text me your email, and then I have Brittney. And the screenshot I just sent you, the guy that I texted on Wednesday, or I guess this was Wednesday of last week, he just texted, call me.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. Okay, because I read that. So I just dropped that into the chat for you guys. I told Brittney I actually have this saved in the favorites on my phone. It's like all pictures of the dogs, me and Adam, the kids, and Brittney's FSBO script in my favorites because people always ask me for it. So when this guy just said, call me, then you just called him, right?
Yep. I finished. So this goes back to like, I have such extreme ADD, if you can't tell by my already, so I could have called him right that second, and I probably wouldn't have texted any of the other for sale by owners because by the time I get off the phone with him, I've got 14 other things to do. So I unread his message, which is like my favorite feature of all time now. So I unread his message on, and then finished what I was doing and then went back and called him. And we had a decent conversation. His house still isn't sold. I still haven't listed it. Like, we're just staying in contact. And that's one thing that Debbie preached to me when I first started with for sale by owners is like, it's like you're dating, and then, they're not just they have this idea in their mind that they can do it. They're not just going to drop what they're doing and list with you. So we're going to, I'll keep touching and keep talking and, stay in contact with him. But the fact that they're responding, and that's the most important thing to me, because I keep track of contacts, and I would count that even if I called him. I mean, I had a guy text me back and it just said F you. And I was like, oh, I'm like, well, at least that counts as one. So I put a little tally. I'm like, well, he's not my friend and it counts as a contact. So that's been the main thing is like, so figuring out what your system is around whatever lead gen, avenue you choose, and whatever you're currently doing, that is your system. So if it's good, sweet. And if it's bad, that is what you've got going. So,
Edgar said follow up. I love it.
That's awesome. I ended up looking up his house when they're like really mean. I'm like, no, I need to know, like, are you going to actually sell this on your own? Or are you a meanie pants? So I looked up his house, and it had just gotten listed actually with an agent who I know. So I sent her the screenshot, and I was like, hey, tell your seller that if somebody, cause it just had listed, like people are going to be reaching out. Just tell them to send back like, hey, it's listed, but if you have a buyer, we'd love to work with you. Like, just be nice. Like, whatever. So, so Mondays, I
wish we would have known Edgar's, and you could have said, I will be sure to follow up. Thank you.
That is, he spelled it out, which made it more aggressive. And
oh, okay. Got it. Okay.
I sent a screenshot to Liv. I'm like, well, so Mondays I do call or text the for sale by owners. And then what I used to do, I have postcards. And so I would send them the postcards. It was like a cute little, I don't know if my internet's got weird. Okay. It was like a cute little 3 postcard series, and it said 15 best ways to help sell your house or something like that. And so they were like different color scheme, but they all went together, like looked really cute. And so I would send them all on the same day. So they actually got all 3 on the same day.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah. And so, and that was just anyone I would texted. So even if they didn't reply, actually it was just the ones they replied. So if they replied to my text, even if it was F you or don't call, whatever, But a lot of times they're not. A lot of times it's, hey, you know, or they'll just text their email. That's the other thing. I get more just emails. They don't want to talk, but I said, all you have to do is text me your email. And they're like, fine.
Because they want the guide,
They
right?
want the guide. They want the commission info. Like,
Yeah. But
and
the
so-
great thing about that is that then I mean, once they're in your database, they're in your database. I mean, the goal is to get the email because you already know their home address.
Yep. So I have their home address, I have their phone number, and I have their email address, and they gave it to me. So it's not like I'm not spamming.
Right.
For those of you, if you're like, because I was 21 and living in my mom's basement and had no money. I didn't pay for these leads. That was the other thing with Fizzbells that I loved. I was like, oh my gosh, I can get all this information for free. I would just go to Zillow and it's the numbers right there.
This is the biggest question that I get is where does she get the Fizzbos? And I always tell people that you pull up Zillow.
Pull up Zillow and you can filter by for sale by owner, and they're all right there for you. And I think that's the biggest thing with, okay, sorry, I have to put my dog outside. Oh my gosh.
I'm getting ready to have to. Frankie's scratching. Scratch.
You wanted to talk about for sale by owners with us, I guess. So that's the biggest thing is like, oh, like you said, what can we get ready. Oh, what system do I need to go pay for to make sure I'm good at for sale by owners? Nothing. Just go to Zillow. You know, the one good thing they can do for us is give us for sale by owner information. Yeah. And, so that's where I would get it at first. Now, of course, I do pay for a service now that they're just concise. Yeah. They're a little bit less like digging, but.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So before I have you talk about the guide, Kimberlee, can we come back to you now and talk about what you actually do at the seminar?
Yeah. So.
And anything else you want to share about that?
Everyone's notes are gonna be like, do, 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 do.
I know, sorry, guys. I'm
Brittney, we'll blame it on Brittney's ADD.
Yeah.
So, oh my gosh, you guys have me laughing. I'm like totally all over the place now. What do we do at the seminar? So I guess
it's virtual now. So
yeah. So if you guys want to get started, there's a really great outline / like presentation in KW Connect for like my first home. Use that, like, don't reinvent the wheel. That's what we started from. So we kind of have a few major things that we start on in the beginning. We want everybody to just get engaged. Like, you have to set the tone. All of us have taken like bold and different trainings where they're like, hey, how you participate here is how you participate everywhere. Like it is true. And you want to just set the tone that like, this is not just you sitting there, like kicking back and relaxing. Like, we're going to engage you. We want to like hear from you. What are your questions? What even has you thinking about attending this? Because I want to make sure that this time is valuable for you. So we start with just getting people participating and engaging. From there, we talk about what's going on in the market today, because we know as agents, but the media typically doesn't align with what is actually happening in the market. And like, you just never know. Like during the pandemic, when we were in the craziest sellers market that we ever had, people were saying, oh, I've heard it's a buyer's market. Like they don't know what it means. And so it's good for us to not assume that they know what's going on, even though we're in it on a day-to-day basis. So we start by talking about the market. Like, how do you know if it's a buyer's market or a seller's market? What does it mean for you as a buyer? Like, a seller's market doesn't mean it's a bad time to be a buyer, right? And then we talk about just kind of some like rent versus owning scenarios, showing them the numbers. What are the advantages of buying? There's a lot of tax advantages, right? We all know capital gains, all that fun stuff. We've got some communities around here where they get residential tax exemptions for being owner occupied in the property. And then my lender does a really great segment on financing. So my biggest recommendation is choose who you partner with wisely and don't overdo it on vendor partners. So it's just me and a lender. We don't allow attorneys. We don't allow home inspectors, insurance people. It just becomes too much information for them. They want to know, what do I need to do to get started? And how much money is this going to cost me to buy a house? Like, they don't care about every detail they have to know on a home inspection. Keep it big picture.
Yeah. Kimberlee, one thing I just want to say really fast, not to interrupt you. In Gary's mastermind, I guess whenever it was 2 weeks ago, or, oh yay, Brittney, thanks. That's okay. Brittney's put her postcard in the chat. These will move
Thank you
to my
Liv, for finding them.
Thank you. Yes. Okay. You can download those there. One of the things that Gary talked about was right now, a lot of the top 100 are having massive success with investor seminars. And so the one thing that I want to say is if you are like, into first time home buyers, amazing, because I think that's a huge opportunity. And I just want you to hear how she's running a seminar, because there's a million different seminars that you can use. The top 100, Kimberlee, Gary's group said that they were doing, you might've been there, but they were doing just the MREI, the Blue Book, the Millionaire Real Estate Investor seminars every single month to pick up investor clients or to the investor clients that they already have to teach them. And they were having a lender come and talk about special financing. So I love that you're giving us this breakdown, because I think no matter what kind of seminar someone wants to do, you can follow the same thing, right?
Yeah, and you can get creative with what you do. So we're actually working on an investor seminar that's going to be twofold. So I saw an opportunity within my team to just have my agents be better educated on investing so they could have those conversations with their past clients. And so we're using it to just like skill up our team, but also our area is very expensive and it's hard to make deals pencil. We have really low cap rates because we're a high appreciation market and it's just expensive. So for someone to save up like a 25% down payment on an investment property, it takes a lot. So we're actually collaborating with another agent in a much more affordable price point area to just give people all of their options, because there's so many things you can do, right? You could buy a second home, you can Airbnb it, you can buy a long-term rental. There's so many creative things you can do. And so we want to expose our database to all the opportunities out there. And again, like I said, we're working on balancing out our referrals that we're sending outbound as well. So even if that doesn't translate to a sale for us directly, it's a referral fee. And that's work that we didn't have to do that we're still making money. So choosing who you're partnering with is so important, because I've met so many lenders that are really, really good at what they do, but they're not good at explaining it like they're talking to a first grader. How many lenders do we know that talk about all the different nuances of the loan programs? Like that's just too high level for where they're at. So meet them where they're at. They want to know, what's my credit? What does my credit need to be? How much money is this going to cost me? And like, what do I need to do to get myself in a place to be able to buy? So we just keep it pretty high level and talk about like the different loan programs, credit score, down payment, and then closing costs. And then from there, the most important thing, if you're going to do a seminar, is make sure you're closing them for an appointment. Because we give the best presentation in the world, but if we're not giving them a call to action, then what's the point? So about halfway through, we start just setting the expectation. Like if you're 12 months or less of making a purchase, it's better to start now, especially as a first time buyer, because time is your best friend. Like you might need to pay down a couple credit cards. You might need to do a few things to get your credit score to a better place. Time is so important in that, right? Like don't wait until the last minute and then get in a place where you have to renew your lease. So we start setting the expectation, like the next step in the process is to set up a time to talk with us one-on-one about your situation so we can make a plan for you. And then we just kind of talk about different types of properties, like pros and cons of each, financing you need to know. And then we do a Q&A at the end.
Love that. Oh my gosh, I love that. Okay, couple things in the chat. Let's see. Someone asked, do you, I think this is just to me, so you guys can't see it. Do you give different seminars every time, or do you mix it up? I guess, meaning like, are they exactly the same, or do you mix it up, Meg?
It's exactly the same. I could do it with my eyes closed. It's literally like the same script, the same presentation every single time. We're like right now, we're only doing the first time homebuyer seminars, but we're building out other content. And I've been saying this forever. And every time I go to like add another type of seminar, I'm like, oh, but wait, we could be doing this better. So like, I like to do something really, really well and keep iterating at it before I add more. So we're finally getting to the point where we're going to add a seller seminar. It's on the schedule. The content is already mapped out, but it's taken me 5 years to get that off the ground. Like I've been talking about it forever and I still haven't done it.
Yeah. Okay. That's what Stephanie just said, exactly what everybody always says. I get stuck on building the content. So I love that you said, just start with my first home. Steph, I don't know if you've done that, but like, that's That's a great idea.
Yeah, start with the My First Home, like, don't reinvent the wheel. I don't like, if it's okay with you, I'm gonna plug something that I'm working on. So
Yeah.
I've had so many people ask me like, will you coach me on this? Will you, can I pay you? And I've just never done anything. And I'm actually working right now with Ben Kinney on creating like a course platform to teach people
Love
how
it.
to do it. It should be ready in the next, like, probably by the end of summer. So if you don't end up doing anything in the meantime and you want to get a course on how to do it, there is one coming. It's in the works.
Such a great idea, because you're exactly right. So many people ask for that all the time. I think that's so great. One question I have, oh shoot, I had one, not on the lender. Close them for an appointment. Oh, so since you're doing it virtually, how do you get them to actually, how do you close them for the appointment, or how do you schedule with them, Kimberlee? Like, do you just say, we would love to have a one-on-one with you, or like, how do you get
Yeah,
them?
so there's a few things you can do. You can always put a Calendly link in your
Oh, yeah.
in the chat if they want to schedule on the spot. We also just let them know like, hey, we're going to reach out to you. So most of the fortune is in the follow-up anyways.
Yeah.
So like, because I have a team now, the leads get kind of round robin with different agents that are eligible. So I'll just say like, hey, so, either myself or someone from my team will be in touch. We
Yeah.
send out a follow-up email to everybody. They get put on an auto plan for follow-up afterwards. We're calling them like, hey, how did it go? Do you have any questions? Like, where are you at in the process? Queuing up the appointment from there. But you could easily just put together a Calendly link and say, hey, I've got a few times on my schedule. If anybody wants to book a time right now, here's a link in the chat with my
I
calendar.
love that. Yeah, I love that. So I want to put this into perspective for you guys, in case I know some of you have hopped on late. So if Kimberlee's team closed roughly, just say 40 million last year, and 25% of her business came from these seminars, that's $10 million worth of real estate closed from the seminars. So if anybody's looking to add an additional 10 million in volume, and remember, these are first time home buyers, like, this is, again, just that's really great perspective, I feel like, to just think about when you think about it that way. It's very impressive. I love it. It's so good. Awesome. Great job. Okay. Oh crap, 11 minutes. Okay, Brittney, anything else you'd add on the FSBOs? Do you want to talk about the guide? And then I'd like to spend just like the last 5 minutes talking about any ideas on realtor to realtor referrals. I mean, the best is do stuff like this. So thank you guys for being on here. And don't forget for your areas, or if you have people moving to Omaha or Boston, hopefully these two ladies will be on your list.
Yes. For sale by owners, or not for sale by owners, I'm saying first time home buyer. I mean, I love for sale by owners, but first time home buyers are my favorite. That's how I started, was really like, because I didn't know anything. And I'm like, okay, these people don't know anything either. So if I know more than they know, we are in good shape. And so that was just like a confidence thing, but that was like, that's a great thing to build confidence. They literally have never bought a house, and you, for the most part, have probably sold at least one. So you're like one up on them.
Yeah.
So do that. That's a good idea. The guide's in there. Go to my Instagram. It's on there. You can download it for free. It's Liv put it onto, it's called a Pooblue. That was called Liv. So it looks like a magazine. And so like they like flip through it. It's kind of cool. I also have it as a PDF. So when they text me back their email, I'll send them that link and then attach it as a PDF. And that guide, you'll see there's nothing in there that's like it's not groundbreaking. You're not giving them like, how to sell their house. It's just mostly things that they probably didn't think of that they're probably not going to go do. So they're going to hire you to go do it. And that's kind of the gist is, for sale banners, we talked about this, on that original call. I think typically they don't list for 3 reasons. Either they've had a bad experience and they just don't want, they think they can do it better on their own, or it's an ego thing. They just truly think they're going to be better at it than you are, or it's a money thing. And if it's what I'm finding right now is the for sale by owners it's in every market, they're different. And in this market, the ones I'm seeing it is a money thing. They bought at the highs of the market. They haven't stayed there long enough. And so the equity is a little bit not there. Like they didn't buy in 2016 to 2020, they bought in 2021 and they had to fight 40 other people to get this house. Now they need to go sell it. So those conversations, I'm hearing that as an objection a lot more. And so just kind of working through that with them and figuring out, like, just getting creative and, helping them understand the market. And because, I'm seeing a lot of overpriced FSBO listings. So those conversations are, is it actually important for you to sell, or you just, want to sit on the market, those kind of conversations.
Brittney, of the ones you reach out to, if you just had to guess, like, how many reply?
It just depends. Like, so there's like some days where everyone replies, and a lot of times they'll reply and just say, we already sold. And I'll say, congratulations. Like, where are you going? Or, just, you can keep the conversation. Depends. Like in this season of life right now, I just text back, congrats. Like, if there's ever anything else you need, let me know, but I'm not like going into super depth with them. I would say it's probably 3 to 4 out of 10. I would say of that 3 or 4, maybe 1 or 2, I would say probably half of those. So 2 out of 10 are like emails. They're just curious. And then I would say the others that reply are either that they already sold. I'd say, oh, congrats. And you can kind of do on the ones that already sold. Like, I would always say, like, out of curiosity, or, I'm constantly trying to learn more about this, blah, blah, blah. Like, out of curiosity, did the buyer that you have an agent? And if it did, like, star that one, because there's a very good chance it falls apart. Or,
point.
Yeah. Or did they have an agent, or, did you pay a commission? Sometimes they'll text back, well, no, but I'll pay a buyer agent commission, bring your buyer. Like, okay, well, we do have buyers. I don't really, then it's kind of that. I don't really know what your house looks like. I never go to like preview, because that was not a good use of my time. Or, I might have a buyer, but I haven't seen your house. And then I'm like, I don't have a buyer. I don't even work with buyers. So so that's kind of and that kind of throws them for a loop too, is I'll say, well, that's great. I'll send it on to my team. They work with the buyers. I actually specialize in working with sellers. That's all I do. And so that, just having that conversation with them, but don't ever, like, if they're texting you back, that's a warm human body. Like, you can ask them questions like, how's traffic going? And that's usually if the ones that just text me the email, that's what because they don't say anything else. I'm like, okay. So then I'll say, out of curiosity, how has it been going? I'll get that email sent to you this afternoon out of curiosity. Have you had a lot of people, or is it mostly agents? And
I love that question.
Yeah.
Has
it been mostly agents? And don't be afraid to make fun of yourself. Like, and sometimes I've had some days where like, you're the only agent. I'm like, is everyone alive? I'm like, what's happening? Like, what happened? And sometimes they're like, yeah, it is agents. Agents are annoying. I'm like, I know, everyone and their mom is an agent. My mom is an agent.
Literally your mom is an agent.
Like, it's okay to make fun of yourself and just say, I know we're pesky. Like, and then you can kind of throw in that, like, and that's the best thing about text, is you don't have to be so spot on. Like, you can be like kind of funny because it's via text, and you can say things like, I don't know what I was gonna say. Something, like you can, I don't know, lost my whole brain. So.
Okay, that's okay. Well, the only thing that you didn't say this time that I know we've talked about before is that people text you pictures of FSBOs. Do you just like put it out there for everybody if you see a FSBO, text it? Because I know you talked about that before.
Yeah, this just happened the other day. I'm calling him when we get off here, but he literally, he sent me this. He's like, hey, I saw this. I was like, he doesn't know what the address is. He sent a picture of the house and that for sale by owner sign. He was like, hey, I drove by this today. I was like, all right. Like, I just feel like that was kind of, I don't even post about it as much anymore as I used to. I used to be kind of aggressive about it and post like just funny things that for sale by owners would do, or like dumb things. And like, so I think it just was in those people's minds. So
I know an agent that collects all the FSBO signs of all the FSBOs that they take, and they have like hundreds of them on a wall in their warehouse, like garage type thing or whatever.
Oh,
so every time they take the listing, they ask them if they can have their FSBO sign, and they like it's like a collage of all the FSBO signs that they've collected. I know.
There's a company in town, I won't say their name because they signed an NDA. They specialize in for sale by owners, and he just reached out to me last week. He said, first of all, I'm the only agent that's ever reached out to him in his 6 years of owning this company. Because I reached out to him and sit down because I said, usually there's one other lady, her name's Susan, and she's mean, and this guy. And that was my only competition with for sale by owners. And Susan, I can beat her because she's mean. And this guy, I'm like, I just want to know what you're doing. Like, what do you have going on? And so I had coffee with him. I was like, tell me what you do. What does your business look like? I got there. He's like, you're the only person agent that's ever reached out to me. And so then just last week, I get an email from him and it was like, hey, can I call you today? And I sent a screenshot to Liv and I was like, oh my God, I was like, he's probably gonna like yell at me. I probably took one of his listings. Like he's probably pissed. And he called me and wants me to buy his business.
Wow.
And he said, I'm still the only agent he's ever talked to. And he like doesn't have anyone else. I don't think the model makes sense for me because it's 100% the opposite of what we're doing.
Right. And it probably was.
Yeah. But like insane.
That's insane, but still keep talking. I mean, you never know, depending on if he has a database, that's really what you do when you buy their businesses.
Well, that's just it, is they get a ton of buyer leads they can't service because they're not licensed.
Oh, right.
And like a lot of the services they outsource, they pay someone to do their CMAs for these sellers. Well, if you had that business in-house, you wouldn't. So first, it makes sense. I know that it does, but interesting.
Wow. It is interesting though, that you're the only one that's ever reached out. Yeah.
But if someone had someone like that in their market, and this is what I tried to pose to him, if he didn't want to sell, was why don't you get a license, not necessarily to sell, but then give me the buyer leads. We'll service the buyer leads and pay you a referral.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But,
yeah, that's a great idea. Okay, so 1 minute, this has been so great. I hope you guys have gotten a lot who've been on. I've taken a ton of notes and I have heard them many times. And I still took a ton of notes. One piece of advice for growing your realtor to realtor referral business. Whoever.
Okay, I'll tell you what not to do.
Okay.
Do not just put people on your stupid email list. Like, there is nothing that drives me insane more than like, I don't care what's going on in some place I've never been in Florida. Like, that's great. Good for
or about your open house that you have going on this weekend.
Exactly. Or your open house that I live 5 states away. Okay. So don't do that. Like, do be really just purposeful about making connections. Like, if you blind message me and you're like, hey, I'm here to service all your referrals, like, I'm not going to think about you when I have a referral for that area because we have no relationship. It's the same as everything. It's just a relationship business. Like, be intentional about building relationships. Before we started to get a lot of agent referrals, and like before I was ever on stage for any KW events, I literally would like go through the KW referral network and just call agents and be like, hey, like I just want it, like, I saw we're connected on the referral network. I wanted to be able to put a voice to the name. Like, how's your business going? Like, tell me more about you and your business. And some of those people have been some of my best sources for agent referrals. Like, even if they haven't directly sent me a referral, they might be like a big cheerleader if there's an agent in their office that needs an agent in my area. So actually, like, reach out to people, call them, like, have a conversation with them. Don't just blanket be like, hey, I'm here to service all your Boston referrals. Like, send me all your Boston referrals. Like, I'm not going to think about you. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I love it. I think that's great. Brittney.
That's absolutely perfect. I'd say all of those things. And then, just figuring out like when they, if they call you and they're, let's say they call you first and they, oh, I service blah, blah, blah. I'd say, do you have an Omaha like agent? So they already have one, like, then I'm not, figure out if like that exclusivity type, or just like, who do they have in that area? And with the intentional thing, like, so in our market, like, we have the Air Force Base. So you can go into referrals and see where those migration patterns come from. Go into your market and see where the referrals are coming from, and then go find the top 4 or 5 top agents in those markets. And those are the people you should call, because those are the people that might have referrals coming into your area.
Yep. Yep. Perfect. We'll be on YouTube here Monday. Okay. Sorry. I'm just typing in the chat really fast because several of you are asking me for the recording already. So it will be on our YouTube channel. Abby's on vacation today and tomorrow. So realistically, it'll probably be Monday, but we always get them up and get them on there. In the meantime, if you need anything, you can always email me too. On the referral thing, the last thing I'll say, and then we got to go, is in Ken, it shocked me because when Ken left KW last year, I was shocked. And then when he came back, I was like, yay. But he said one of the biggest reasons he came back was because of the $140 million that he closed last year, 23% of that was Keller Williams referral business. So referral business, even if it's not KW, but realtor to realtor referral business is so huge. And I'm just thinking now I need to have a whole nother training on that. But you guys, you ladies have been amazing. So thank you so much for giving me an hour and all of these lovely people an hour. I just appreciate y'all so much.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you. I hope you get a referral from doing this. So don't forget Boston and Omaha.
Love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Have a great day. Appreciate you. Thanks for being on. See ya.